Hello, everyone. Glad to have you today. Thank you so much for joining me for today's facial massage webinar. Of course, I'm doing weekly webinars that are free for all attendees to learn a little bit more about some of the expertise that I've been teaching when it comes to the treatment room over the years. So today we're focused on a very tight topic, facial massage in the treatment room, but specifically addressing the muscles of the forehead. The muscles of the forehead are a specific area that do cause deep wrinkling that most people tend to be very concerned about. And so we're going to talk about three very specific muscles. I'm going to show you a demonstration of a very easy muscular massage technique that helps to release these muscles on a very deep level so that their tension can be released and the length of the muscle fibers can be elongated so that we see some actual decrease in the depth of the wrinkles that are being caused by that constant muscle movement. But first, we're going to do a little bit of review over those specific muscles as well. I am recording this presentation today, and I do upload all of these webinars for future viewing on my YouTube channel. Also, for everyone that is attending today, I do have your email address, and I will be emailing you this presentation afterwards and after it's over. So sit back and relax. Thank you again for joining, and I look forward to seeing you on some of my future webinars as well. Before we dive into the lesson, I always like to tell you a little bit about myself if you've never sat in on a class with me before. I began my spa career back in 2004 as a massage therapist specializing in lymphatic drainage and neuromuscular therapy. And then I quickly expanded into aesthetics. One of the main reasons I expanded into aesthetics is because I quickly realized that the aesthetics industry was a place where I could actually make more money than I was making in my massage. As I've said before, you can only massage so many people in the day, and you can only charge so much for a massage based on the competitive market around you. But you have so many more options for income when it comes to aesthetics. So many different service offerings and shorter amounts of time, and also retail and service commissions can be excellent when doing services like chemical peels, microneedling, so many great things that can be done in aesthetics. So I quickly joined into that part of the business, and I've never looked back. I have to say that I've been on a whirlwind of a career path over the past 15 years. And what's been amazing to see is all of the different opportunities that are made available to people like us who have a license in aesthetics. But of course, that comes with your own ambition and your work ethic as well. And when you have those aligned, you will find a lot of opportunities in this industry. So if you want to learn a little bit more about myself and my background, or how I am currently offering services as far as continued education for other spa professionals, visit my website, beautybyryan.com/spa-training. This specific page will tell you all about what I'm offering as a freelance educator and an education director to our wonderful industry. And if you happen to be at the Las Vegas show at the end of June, I would love to see you at the end of June for the Las Vegas IECSC. I'm not going to be teaching a class at that particular trade show, but I am going to be represented on the floor. I'm going to be networking, meeting a bunch of brands, so I'd love to see you there. Let's jump into the lesson. Today, we're talking about facial massage techniques. And of course, we're focusing specifically on the forehead for this lesson. I plan on actually expanding into a series of specific muscle groups within the face so that we can really dive into each individual area and focus on them. But ultimately, you can create or incorporate any of these techniques into your normal full face massage routine. When we talk about benefits of face massage, some things we probably already know, but it always helps to get refreshed. Face massage immediately increases circulation to the muscle and skin of the area that we're working on. This circulation helps to provide fresh oxygenated blood that will help to replenish the skin cells and help them with better overall function. And one thing to keep in mind, when you're doing facial massage, we always talk about how face massage helps to promote lymphatic drainage. That's very true, but the type of massage we're focusing on today is more considered deep tissue. Now, we're not pressing deeply, but we are focusing on each individual muscle and helping to strip through the body of the muscle, which is a deep tissue type of technique. And now that type of technique, you have to be very focused. It's not really going to help to promote lymphatic lymphatic drainage, but it is going to help to promote lymph flow by bringing that fresh oxygenated blood flow. So you are getting lymph fluid within that blood flow coming to the skin and helping the layers of the skin to remove any broken down proteins or even any harmful ingredients that need to be removed through our natural detoxification system. So any type of massage, whether light or deep, does help to promote increased blood flow and also lymph flow, but not necessarily lymphatic drainage. It's your lighter moving techniques that help to promote that lymphatic drainage and removal of that fluid. But massaging the muscles of the face directly will help to lengthen the fibers of the muscle and ultimately soften the look of wrinkles. The increased circulation we create from this massage will also create volume in the muscle and in the skin, which ultimately will help to plump up the skin and decrease the depth of the wrinkles. So these are just a couple of the key benefits that we're going to get when we really do a focused massage of the face and focus in on these key muscles that are causing these areas of expression or wrinkling. Now let's get a little bit more specific. How do muscles cause wrinkles? This might seem like a very simple statement, but I just want to go through for a good review. Muscles create wrinkles in the skin when they hold tension. When they flex and the fibers come together, this movement can cause the skin to fold. It's that continual folding in the same area that eventually causes the collagen in that area to break down. And that's when we see these wrinkles in areas of expression. We call them expression lines because it's the muscle specifically that's creating these expressions on our face and folding the skin in that area, ultimately causing those expression lines. It's very unfortunate, but we know how to address this. Muscles can also begin to hold tension, causing the skin to wrinkle, even whether we're making the facial expression or not. Now, I know you have some clients that you're thinking of when I talk about this, because this is a condition called adaptive shortening, and it can happen in any area of your body, not just your face. To give you an example of an area in your body, a lot of people don't realize that with improper posture, we're allowing our shoulders to droop. And when we're allowing our shoulders to droop and fall forward, it's actually causing the pectoralis major and minor muscles to shorten. Now, our muscles love to be in a shortened position. So when we hold those positions for longer periods of time, like not maintaining good posture, for example, eventually those muscles get very comfortable in that shortened position and they'll hold that position. So over time, you might have had good posture at one point in your life, but over time you notice that that posture starts to decline as your shoulders roll forward. It's actually adaptive shortening, where your muscle fibers are getting more tense just naturally and holding that position. The same thing can happen to your face. And we make jokes about this in the industry, talking about those mom lines, those 11s, those two little wrinkles right there. That can happen when you're constantly scowling and constantly frowning. And eventually, if you're doing that all the time, you'll actually start to hold that position and not even realize that you're holding your skin in a wrinkled state, ultimately leading to more wrinkles being left in the long term. So again, this condition is called adaptive shortening. Most of us don't even realize it's happening, but the techniques that I'm going to show you today specifically help to address that type of adaptive shortening that can happen in the muscle, specifically on the forehead. Now let's talk about these three specific muscles, just three of them, but let's talk about how they can affect us. First, we have the frontalis muscle. The frontalis muscle is the largest of the three that we're going to discuss today, and it comes across the forehead. But the fibers do not run from left to right. They actually run from the top down. And this is really, really important to remember, because when you want to create lengthening in the muscle through massage, you need to massage in the direction of the muscle fibers in order to create that lengthening. So this muscle covers the forehead. It actually inserts above the brow bone, and then it originates from the top of the skull. Now, it does not, while it attaches here directly to our brow bone in this part of the skull, it doesn't directly attach to the skull on top of the head. It joins into connective tissue, which then runs and attaches to the occipitalis muscle on the back. In some anatomy and physiology manuals, they actually just combine this two bodies of muscles on the front and the back of the skull with the connective tissue as one large muscle group itself. But then it is subdivided, as this is on the front of our face and the occipitalis is on the back of the skull. So this is the frontalis muscle. When we lift our eyebrows, that is the frontalis muscle that's helping us to get that movement going. Then we have the corrugator muscle, or the corrugator supercilii. This muscle actually has two attachments that originate at the body of the brow. So think right into towards the arch, but still in the body of your brow. And then they insert right at the top of the bridge of the nose. So they run in this direction from the bridge of the nose out. But again, it's important to remember where they originate and where they insert. The insertion point is where the origination point is always trying to get to. So that's something key to remember. You always want to know where's the origin point of the muscle and where's the insertion point, because when the muscle is activated, the origin point is always going to go towards the insertion point. And we want to actually massage in the direction of the muscle fibers against that movement so that we can create lengthening. So the corrugator muscles are on either side of the brow, on either side of the nose, and when activated, they crease and bring the inner corners of our brows downward towards the nose. And this is what gives us a little bit of that angry scowl look. Now, in combination with the corrugator muscle, we also have the procerus muscle. The procerus muscle sits right in the middle and also originates in the frontalis muscle, but then inserts right here at the bridge of the nose. So again, when it is activated, that origin point is coming down and it actually causes that plumping. Again, in combination with the corrugator muscle, these two muscles create those little 11 lines that then can really start to take hold and take shape to then be long-term wrinkles that we just don't want. Now, here's a visual example for all of us that are very visual in this industry. You can quickly see those 211 lines that I was talking about on our model at the top. That is the procerus and the corrugator supercilii muscles working together to make that frowning, scowled look, bringing the brows down towards the bridge of the nose. And then the male client that we have pictured here, the forehead, that's the frontalis muscle. So as you can see, the brows are lifted, but then the skin takes on just rolling hills of wrinkles thanks to that wonderful large frontalis muscle on the forehead. Now, we do know that treatments like Botox can help to deaden the neuromuscular signal that the brain would send in order to make that muscular contraction. So if you do get Botox, or if you have clients that receive Botox in this area, it's going to prevent them from making those wrinkles. So the muscle won't be able to be fully activated. And that's a great thing. I always like to remind my clients that Botox is preventative. So you do want to try to get Botox at a younger age to help prevent your skin from wrinkling the skin continually over time. Once we get older and we start to lose a lot of collagen, a lot of volume in the skin, that's really when we want to start looking at filler in order to help plump and lift. But Botox is a preventative treatment that should be done in areas of deep expression like these areas, but done with some type of discretion. We don't want to over Botox an area so that they are completely devoid of expression. That's definitely not the goal. Now, I will say for those that have clients that do receive Botox regularly, it's important to know that this type of deep massage technique should not be done on the areas where they receive Botox. This is simply because deep tissue massage, again, helps to flush fresh circulation in and out of the body of the muscle and the skin where you're working. So when you do receive Botox and you get massage, that massage can actually speed up the breakdown process of the Botox. So clients might notice that their Botox wears off a little bit faster than normal when they receive this type of massage technique on top of that. So it's not really recommended for clients that are already receiving Botox. But this is a great massage technique that should be used on clients that are either deciding not to do Botox or have never done Botox before. Now let's review the specific massage techniques. Effleurage and petrissage. These are really classic techniques that are considered introductory massage movements. Movements like effleurage are long, gliding, smooth massage movements that then help to increase circulation and help to soften the skin on the surface. But their main purpose is to create that circulation, which is then going to help to create volume in the muscle and in the skin. It's also a great introductory technique because it helps to connect you to the client, and it's a very soothing movement. Now, petrissage is defined as a lifting, kneading, and squeezing of the muscle tissue. And this is really easy to do on like the upper shoulders or the arms, but petrissage is a little difficult to do on a muscle that's sitting so flat between the skin and our forehead. So in this demonstration I'm going to give you today, it's actually circular movements that help to create that petrissage movement. So it's circular movements across the forehead that are going to help to move and squeeze and lift those muscles on the forehead to help, again, increase circulation. Now, ultimately, the technique that we're going to use today that's going to get the deepest relaxation of the muscle and the lengthening of the muscle is called stripping the muscle. And this is a neuromuscular therapy technique where we applied focused fingertip pressure gliding from the insertion point to the origin point of the muscle. And when we repeat this movement, you're going to see me repeat this movement at least 6 times in the same area before I move on to the next area. And that is very, very important because you want to make sure that you thoroughly go through every single fiber of the muscle in order to reset it and then help to get that lengthening, which ultimately is going to decrease the wrinkle in the skin as well. Now, after you do any type of deep tissue massage technique, you should then always end with effleurage. Effleurage, again, is that really smoothing, gliding motion that is a great introductory motion, but it's a great ending motion as well because it helps to continue increasing circulation, but it also feels very relaxing to the client. Okay, so now I'm going to pause the demonstration screen for a moment because I'm going to then change the presentation to a demonstration that I did earlier today in preparation for this lesson. So let me share my screen. Perfect. And let me pull up this video demonstration. Now, what we're going to see me do first is begin with effleurage movements. And I've already applied a massage medium over the face. So I'm just gliding over the face with that smoothing effleurage. Now, what I'm going to do is you're going to go back to be more precise over the frontalis muscle. What you're noticing is you're noticing with fingertip pressure that I am using individual fingertip pressure to glide from the brow bone up towards the forehead. Now, the body of the frontalis muscle does not go beyond the top of the forehead at the hairline. So there is no specific reason for me to go back and go all the way to the top of the head. What I've started with, again, is that open effleurage and then circular petrissage. As you can see, the forehead starting to wrinkle and lift a little bit. That's because I'm doing that circular movement, which is then helping to create that petrissage-like technique. All of this is designed to increase circulation and ultimately create volume in the muscle. Now you're going to see me going specifically over the brow bone because I am focusing on the insertion point of the frontalis muscle. Remember that it inserts right at the brow bone so that when it moves back towards the origin, it's lifting up the brow and creating those wrinkles. So I'm using my index finger and middle finger to glide specifically over the brows and I'm pressing into that insertion point. Now let's go through and strip the muscle. You'll see that I'm using my thumbs side by side and I'm applying a firm pressure from the brow, lifting up towards the crown of the forehead or her hairline. By stripping the muscle in this area and doing this repetitive movement in the same area, I'm helping to strip through that muscle, creating circulation and ultimately creating the relaxation that that muscle needs to then let go of any tension that it's holding. You'll see that I'm moving in almost overlapping strips over each area because the body of the frontalis muscle runs directly across. There's a little bit of a divide in the middle, so we have two main bulks of the body, but it still lifts the entire forehead. So I'm going to still focus even directly in the middle so I catch both sides of the fibers on either side of the face. But again, it's slow, gradual, firm, and repetitive. And I want you to remember that. A lot of times we get very flowy in our aesthetic facial massages, and we don't follow the same steps in a repetitive manner. But it's the repetitive motion that actually increases the circulation and gives you the best result. So continue to do this firm pressure gliding from the brow bone up towards the hairline in order to create that lengthening of the frontalis muscle. Now, this demonstration that I've created for you today took about 5 minutes of actual service time. And I know we're typically dedicating up to 10 minutes of service time in a facial massage, but it just depends on where the focus needs to be. Like I said, today we're only focusing on the forehead, but in future webinar videos, I'll also address other areas like the zygomaticus major and minor, which help to lead to the laugh lines, or we'll talk about the orbicularis oculi, which helps to lead to the crow's feet. Now, what you see me doing right now is actually working on either side of the sutures of the skull over the parietal bones. I'm actually taking the thumbs and I'm pressing them towards each other, towards the middle of the skull, and working from the crown of the head back towards the base of the skull. And this is helping to just loosen some of that connective tissue. Now I'm going back and specifically focusing on the corrugator supercilii muscles and the procerus muscles. So you see me moving in a wave-like pattern from left to right, going back and forth over the muscle. And I'm going to continue to repeat this a minimum of 6 times. So again, just by using overlapping thumbs, working from the base of the nose and then working up towards the frontalis muscle where I know that these muscles are attaching, I'm just stripping through the muscle little by little with fingertip pressure. And it is firm fingertip pressure, but it's not painful to the client. Deep tissue massage doesn't have to be painful in order to be effective. Once we've stripped through the muscle, you'll see that I'm going back and applying some final effleurage movements to smooth out my client and help to make her feel really good. I also like to end at the temples too, doing a little bit of lifting and circular massage because this is the temporalis muscle. So the temporalis muscle is a muscle mainly for chewing, but that muscle also is important because it does also lead to temporal mandibular joint syndrome. Okay, sorry about that. Had a little technical difficulty there. Awesome. Okay, so again, as I was saying, the temporalis muscle is a very large muscle on either side of the skull, but then it forms a common tendon right there at the temples and then runs down underneath your zygomatic arch to touch the top of the mandible. And this is what helps to give us a little bit of power in opening and closing our mouths. So again, this is other lessons that I'll be happy to include in a future webinar session. But as you know already, I'd like to keep my webinar sessions 30 minutes or less so that you have the exact bite-sized piece of information you need to take back to your treatment room and be successful. So I hope you've enjoyed this brief lesson today. Again, I will be uploading this video to my YouTube channel, and I will email you directly the presentation in PDF format and the link to the YouTube so that you can go back and watch it in your own time. But give it some practice. Go into the treatment room, get some friends and family or your next client, and incorporate some of this focused muscular massage technique to help release that muscle tension, especially for those that are holding really deep expression lines across the brow and across the forehead. I promise you'll see results and your clients will absolutely love these techniques that you include because it will help them feel so much better, especially in this area that tends to hold a lot of tension. If you've enjoyed this webinar today and are interested in any future webinars or lessons, please go to my website, beautybyryan.com/events. I'm going to be constantly uploading new webinar events there, and you can stay in touch with me as well via email. So thank you so much for joining today. I hope you enjoyed this quick lesson, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Next week, we are doing a Why CBD webinar, and this is a very specific webinar where I'm going to share with you some ingredient data from suppliers and raw material suppliers that are utilizing cannabidiol in formulation for manufacturers. So I've got some great clinical data for you, and I want to talk to you about why specifically CBD is used in skincare and where I see it fitting in with all of these other time-tested ingredients like vitamin C and hyaluronic acid into the future of our industry. Again, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a great and productive remainder of the week.